Hello students. In our grammar paper, we are going to study the next part of a longer part is that of clauses. As we have seen, just a recall of what we have studied, we have gone through the words and right from the morphology, we have gone through words, phrases, and then it's our next journey or step is to study the clauses. Although we have studied some preliminary things about clauses in our first semester, but these were only the superficial glance वरच्यावर फक्त आपण क्लॉजेस आणि त्याचे एलिमेंट्स बघितले. आता आपल्याला डिटेलमध्ये थोडासा क्लॉजेसचा अभ्यास करायचा आहे. So we have identified 5 main elements of the clause, and it is now the time to explain them in more careful way. And what are these? We have to study them. When we have to study them, we have to think about what are the things that we see. Are there any peripheral क्षुल्लक गोष्टी काही आहेत का त्याच्यामध्ये क्लॉज स्ट्रक्चरमध्ये? What is the central element? What are the obligatory means optional elements? At the same time, what are the elements that we cannot be removed and that we can do through simple test, and that we have studied earlier the four tests that we have conducted, and we come to know that the predicate cannot be avoided, it must be used. So the element that is essential for the clause is predicate. So predicate is the central element of the clause structure. Why so? Because predicate are verbs. Predicates are verbs, and predicates are denoting the action. And that is what action is more important than the rest of the elements in the clause. So in the table that is right in front of you, you can easily find that there are clause elements and the labels that have been used for that. So we have predicate or predicator is labeled as P. Subject is subject for yes. Object is an object, and form is O. Complement is for complement or completing. It's used for C. Adverbial, we have multiple types of meanings, variety of meanings is expressed by adverbial, and so we have A as a clause label. These 5 clause elements are illustrated in just an example that is given here. See, many people are painting their houses white these days. So if we give the labels to these clause elements, the element that is before the predicate is going to be a subject. So many people is a subject. Our painting is a predicate. See, our painting is denoting the action. Their houses, many people are painting, but whose houses? But their houses. So it stands for the action that is performed on the noun, that is their houses, and that is what is a sufferer, as we have seen in the object or the definition of the object. So we have object, but what? It's white. The painting is the activity, object their houses, and white is a complement, but it it's a complement to the object. And as we have seen that this may be furthermore illustrated as object complement, because white refers to their houses and it is what the object complement. These days is also one of the type of adverbial. So it's a noun phrase but it denotes the time. In the furthermore understanding of the elements, the predicator is the only element that is also labeled as verb phrase. The subject, as we have discussed, precedes before the predicator. At the same time, we have studied there is the conquered, as we have seen he is, she is, they are. So, subject and verb, there is a conquered, and this conquered is observed in subject and predicate. At the same time, we have seen the number conquered, mean plurals. People are, students are. So he is. So here also we have the number and person conquered also. That also plays a very vital role in the role of the subject and the predicate. If the subject is singular, the verb needs to be singular. If the subject is plural, so the verb should be plural. Means plural verb doesn't take yes or es. Okay, so that is what we have seen in our earlier, say, few lectures. His sister cooks excellent Chinese dinners. See, subject is singular, cooks is plural. It's, as we have seen, it's type of use that we have. So in this way, at the same time, it is often possible to substitute the test, as we have seen the substitution by the pronoun. If the male person, he, I, we, she, they, uh, these are somewhat pronouns we can replace with. At the same time, this is a very useful test since it's a part of you and it is a personal but it is distinctive form because it refers to the inanimate things. He prefers her, she prefers him. We have seen that there are so many such a tests that we can use to identify the clause elements. Suppose here in the sentence number 4 and 5, in the box are 6 skulls. In the box is a plus, so that is what it has been adverbial. Are is a predicate, 6 skulls a subject. See, the box contains 6 skulls. Now the change that we can see here, the impact is the box and the contains, there is a relation and that relation is expressed here. That is what we have seen, the subject and predicate relations. The criteria of position and meaning do not help to identify subject, but there are some kind of a test that we can do in case of conquered and at the same time in case of pronoun substitution. As we have seen, there are furthermore elements of the clause. It stands for object. Object is very closely tied to the predicator in terms of its meaning. It stands for, as we have seen, that it denotes typically the person or thing the most intimately affected by the action or the state, denoted by the predicate. Complement can look superficially like an object, But both can be, of course, noun phrases. But in terms of its meaning, it describes or characterizes subject or, or object. So, object is very closely tied, means it follows often the predicate. But complement it then it superficially looks like an object as we have studied. But in terms it describes and qualifies the preceding noun phrase. The preceding noun phrase may be subject, preceding noun phrase may be object. So, complement, if the complement is referring to the subject, it is called as a subject complement. And if the complement is qualifying and characterizing object, it is object complement. See, they have elected Harry. Here, they is a subject. Have elected is predicate. And oh, whom is a Harry. So it's an object. Like this. Harry will be the next leader of the school. Here, the intensive relation is going to be completed when the complement is referring to the subject, and that is what we have seen. Suppose Harry will be the next leader of the school, so this complement, the next leader of the school is Harry. So the next leader of the school tells about Harry, and that is what we have seen. There is a subject complement, because if we find that Harry will be, but what? If the sentence is like this, Harry will be, it is not complete. So in subject complement relation, to complete the sentence, complement is needed. If there are both object and complement in the clause, then normally complement follows the object. They have elected Harry the next leader of the school. So the next leader of the school tells about Harry. But who elected? They elected. So here we have this type of things we find here. In the same way, the next element that we see, adverbials. Now, it fills out the clause by adding extra circumstantial information of various kinds, ranging from time and location to the speaker's attitude. Of the clause elements that we have examined, adverbials are less closely integrated into the clause structure. And this goes especially for sentence adverbials. The first point about adverbial is that there is no fixed number of them in a clause. In this, they are rather like modifiers. See in the noun phrase. See, adverbials adds extra information. It may be as per the context, circumstantial, meaning, information of various kinds. It may be about time, it may be about place, it may be about frequency, it may be about conditions, it may be about manner, duration, direction, condition, reason, goal, like this. These are the meaning, these are various kinds of information that is associated with the adverbials. So we have examined adverbials are least closely integrated into the clause, as we have seen in the earlier. So we have adverbials as the most optional element of the clause. We can remove them without affecting any kind of a damage to causing any kind of a damage to the sentence. We can freely remove adverbials because they are very peripherals and it goes on like this. So it is least closely associated. Adverbial is that there is no fixed number of them in the clause. Means it may be 3, 4, 5 or so many types of adverbials may come up in the sentence, and that is what we have seen the adverbials that are listed in the following ninth number sentence, it will tell you more in detail. See, actually, she works at home very rarely these days. So here we have four adverbial phrases. Actually, because it is actually, so it refers to condition. She works at home. She works is the best word. At home, where is a plus? At home is a plus. So it is an adverbial. Very rarely means it's a manner. Okay, how often? It's very rarely. So it's a adverbial of manner. These days it's about time. So we have this type of element that we can see here. So like this, if we go through eliciting some kind of information, we can get the type of adverbials. So like this, we have various types of adverbials, and if we pose a question to this, we can get the answers. So such eliciting questions we can ask. Suppose for the plus, we can ask where. Direction, where to, where from. Time, when. Duration, how long. So for time or for plus, where, it refers for there on the box. See, on the ground, on the mountain top. Direction, home, to Paris, from Paris. Like this. Time when? Tomorrow, Sunday, in the afternoon, like this. Duration stands for, the eliciting question is how long. So it will answer for a month, since 1990, since 1920, since last 1 year, like this. We can uh, give the duration. Frequency, the eliciting question is how frequent or how often. Once in a week, twice in a week, thrice in a week, every day, like this. We can express the frequency. Manner, how, in what manner. Quickly, with confidence, or rarely. Agency was by whom? By a tall, dark stranger. By CBA. By SIT. See, like this. By the management. By the board. Like this. Goal, to or whom? To marry to himself. Like this. Reason, why? The eliciting question, because why is asked for reasons. So why was eliciting question? Because of a mother. Condition, in what circumstances? If you do the dishes, see it's in what conditions. So we condition can be the adverbial. Degree, it's also used. So how much and how far? Completely, to some extent. Sentence adverbials, they express the attitude and they express connection. In fact, consequently, its variants, as we have seen, show the adverbials are generally much more mobile in the clause than other clause elements we have met. See very rarely works at home these days actually. We have changed the position of the sentence in 9a. We can again change this adverbial position in 9b. These days, very rarely actually works at home without impacting any kind of a say meaning in the clause. So we have this type of say without affecting any change or change in the meaning, we are using this. The plus is fast going to the dogs. Adverbials are also optional. See, she works at home. Will be enough. She works. It will be enough. But we have removed all those adverbials one after the other, and that only the clause, basic clause elements or two clause elements that have remained is C works in here 11th number sentence. So we come to conclusion that adverbials can be removed and without affecting any change on the meaning of the basic sentence, and that is what we have seen. Adverbials are mobile, adverbials are optional, adverbials can be removed, and that is what we just think about all those clause elements that are necessary, their position, their function, their role in the clause element, at the same time what they are made of, कशापासून बनलेले आहेत. So form labels are also important, and functional labels, that SPOCA. S for subject, P for predicate, O for object, C for complement, and A for adverbial. This formula should be remembered. The form element should be remembered. Of course, the closed elements. Again, the question arises: what are these closed elements? Closed elements of the clause that are also to be remembered, because they are also to be given the form labels in furthermore sentence analysis. So like this, we have studied these elements, and we just need to think about that how we can achieve this proper understanding. Again, we have clauses. So with these clauses, how the sentences are made, that is our main concern that we are going to study in the grammar paper. For this purpose, I would request you or suggest you to go through the shared book, which is in PDF form, English grammar for today, because this is prescribed book and each and every student should have this book at their disposal. Thank you.